We are learning new details this morning about the Tarrant County Sheriff's Office investigation into a mother accused of medically abusing her 3-year-old.
Hi, Curslings. Today, we are talking about Jessica Gasser, aka Medical Mama Jess, a Momfluencer who was recently arrested for the medical child abuse, or Munchausen syndrome by proxy, of her 3-year-old daughter. Now, I'm going to slap a big trigger warning here, because if you're like me and you're sensitive to any stories about child abuse, especially when it involves infants or young children, this could be an upsetting listen. The good news is that the girl is alive and she's thriving. Thankfully, as that wasn't the case for 5-year-old Garnet Spears, who I might cover in a future video, but to be honest, I've been actively avoiding any information about it because true crime about kids has become an extremely triggering subject for me since becoming a mother. I mean, even horror films are tough now. However, today's story does have a happy ending, so I do feel a bit better about talking about it. So, Jessica Gasser is a Texas mother who had a small TikTok following of about 24,000. She also had an Instagram, a Facebook page, and an Etsy shop. On her social media pages, Gasser, who went by Medical Mama Jess on TikTok, would post about her daughter's various illnesses, using hashtags for each one, even after doctors had dismissed the diagnoses.
Investigators are asking for help today after they say a woman abused a 3-year-old.
Tarrant County Sheriff's Office says a mother abused her child. Investigators say the woman lied about the 3-year-old's medical condition, which resulted in unnecessary procedures.
Gasser was arrested in her home in Tatum near Longview, Texas, for having her daughter receive 28 unnecessary needle sticks for blood withdrawal. The arrest warrant affidavit outlined a laundry list of things Gasser did to maintain the illusion that her toddler was sickly. Also, for those curious, I've linked my sources down below. This laundry list ranged from multiple doctor's visits to unnecessary medical procedures across Texas and the US. According to this article from WFAA, Gasser is accused of doctor shopping, going to dozens of doctors' offices to achieve her goals, leading medical professionals from at least 5 medical facilities to suspect medical child abuse, or Munchausen syndrome by proxy.
And the injury was committed through the act of medical child abuse, which is intentionally exaggerating or falsifying or inducing medical symptoms in your child.
Detective Michael Weber, who investigated Gasser, was quoted saying, "There, Gasser, is presenting a false medical history to a medical provider who rely on that history to form a diagnosis. This abuse is not rare," he continues. "It's rarely recognized and even more rarely investigated." Now, that last comment actually shook me a bit, because in this community, we talk about the online exploitation of children quite a bit. But Munchausen syndrome by proxy, or medical child abuse, seems to be a fairly uncommon subject in this corner of the internet. So I'm actually quite curious to see how prevalent medical child abuse is within the mommy vlogger and momfluencer sphere. Now, according to the WFAA article, things began when a doctor in Texas ordered a feeding tube for Gasser's daughter after Gasser presented them with the results of a calorie count survey. The doctor told Detective Weber that they never doubt results parents share unless there's an established history of falsifying information, which at the time had not been established. According to the affidavit, in November of 2021, the Children's Medical Center in Dallas ruled out the diagnosis of gastroparesis, or delayed stomach emptying, after 2 negative tests. 6 months later, in April of 2022, Dell Children's in Austin, Texas, also ruled it out, even offering to remove the feeding tube as Gasser's daughter was doing quite well. She flatly refused. 2 months later, in June, a doctor at McLean Children's Hospital in Temple, Texas, filed the first report against Gasser to the Department of Family Protective Services. Gasser had been caught multiple times venting her daughter's feeding bag, preventing formula from entering into the tube, which is It's disgusting. It's such a disgusting thing to do. Later in October of the same year, a second report would be filed against Gasser by her primary care provider in Longview, Texas, due to them being unable to find any conceivable reason as to why her daughter was not gaining weight. Around this time, Gasser was claiming that her toddler had ketonic hypoglycemia, a blood sugar illness. However, earlier that year, in January, the Children's Medical Center in Dallas had ruled out that diagnosis. According to the affidavit, it was after the second report to the Department of Family Protective Services that Gasser messaged a friend on Facebook writing, "We're discussing just leaving Texas ASAP. I don't even need to tell CPS, right?" Concerned. She also talked about deleting all of her social media accounts, writing to another user, "Deleted all TikTok posts and I'm going to take down Instagram. And I deleted all posts and working on Facebook messages. They can search messages with a warrant." Oof. Now, it seems Gasser would later delete a bunch of stuff. According to lawrenceandcrime.com, investigators noted that the lack of messages about her daughter's health indicated that, quote, "the suspect did delete at least a portion of her Facebook account," end quote, prior to the warrant being issued. So she saw this coming. The thing is that all three of her social media platforms had documented her grift and the supposed medical conditions that her daughter had, even after Gasser had been provided counter evidence by medical professionals. It was on her social media platforms where the second part of her scam took place, because not only did Gasser sadfish her daughter's false medical conditions for sympathy and views, she also profited from it. A GoFundMe, for example, was established for $5,000 to get care at a Cleveland clinic, earning $685. Gasser also applied to Miracle Flight, a charity which provides free airfare to children with complicated medical conditions. That charity paid more than $1,600 for Gasser to fly her daughter to Cleveland for the unnecessary care, as doctors in Dallas and Austin had already ruled out gastroparesis in 2021 and 2022. In February of 2023, Cook Children's contacted the Tarrant County Sheriff's Office to report suspicion of child medical abuse, as during a February visit, Gasser's daughter had had 28 needle sticks. The blood tests were for the fictitious ketonic hypoglycemia. This would lead Tarrant County to charge Gasser with medical child abuse. A month later, in March, Gasser would post to her TikTok that her daughter's blood sugar had crashed during a doctor's visit that she claimed had lasted 2.5 hours. In reality, it had only been a 15-minute phone appointment. That same month, the Department of Family Protective Services met with Gasser. After their visit, she deleted videos from between January and March of 2023. She also started to comment on her social media that her daughter might need a wheelchair. When Weber followed up with doctors, he was informed that there's absolutely no need for a wheelchair. According to the affidavit, Gasser had requested that Cook Children's put a central IV line, also called a PICC, on her daughter, which would give Gasser access to her daughter's blood, which, big yikes energy. I'm assuming that they refused her, because in May, Gasser refused to do a follow-up appointment at Cook's Children and scheduled instead an appointment at a hospital in Temple, Texas. The doctor she saw there also refused to install a central IV line, informing Gasser that the port placement was unnecessary. In June, the Department of Family Protective Services removed Gasser's daughter and took the child to Cook's Children for care. Computer records cited by the affidavit show that in June, Gasser Googled, "Can investigators pull my social media data without warrant?" and "Tarrant County medical child abuse cases," and "How do you fix Munchausen by proxy, girl?" And finally, "Is lying to your doctor illegal?" Yeah, the answer is yes. When it involves a child receiving unnecessary medical care and procedure, it's hella illegal. Finally, the affidavit stated that in the few weeks that the child was in the care of someone other than her mother, she began thriving physically. She is no longer receiving unnecessary medical care and has been placed. According to state records viewed by WFAA, Medicaid allegedly paid more than $200,000 for care for Gasser's daughter during the 2 years of visits to doctors. $200,000 for nothing, for useless... As of Tuesday, July 18th, Gasser remained in Tarrant County Jail custody. She has yet to be formally charged by the prosecution.
Offenders, through a pattern of deception, demonstrate time and time again that they know what they're doing and they know it's wrong when they are doing it.
Finally, a Facebook post by the Tarrant County Sheriff's Office is asking for the public's assistance in gathering evidence against Gasser. The post asks that anyone who may have interacted with Gasser through text message, email, or DMs about her daughter's health, as Gasser had explicitly stated her intention to delete her social media before her arrest.
I'm asking the public to send any social media message, text messages, emails they have from the suspect about the health of her children, because they will be helpful to the investigation to have, in her own words, what she is saying is wrong with her children.
Now, this case, of course, is still developing. And unlike the Garnet Spears case, Gasser's 3-year-old daughter got out alive. If what Detective Weber says is true, that medical child abuse or Munchausen syndrome by proxy is more common than people think, I am horrified at the thought that there could be more mommy vloggers out there, whether they're aspiring or established, engaging in this horrendous behavior. And I hope that those parents who are medically abusing their children in order to exploit them for money and views and applause I hope that they're caught before the unthinkable can happen, because I shudder to think what could have happened had Gasser been allowed to get away with what she was doing to her 3-year-old for just a little bit longer. That little girl could have easily been another Garnet Spears, and I'm just so thankful that authorities caught it before that could come to pass. Anyway, that's it for me. I want to thank everyone who has liked, commented, and subscribed. I heart you all, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!